Time to go. It is May 7th, and this is the Microsoft 365 Power Platform community call happening every single Tuesday, 8 a.m. Pacific time. That is 5 p.m. Central European time, and you can calculate rest of the world based on those metrics. Typically, that helps on understanding where we are. In this call, we typically have Microsoft presenters showing things with certain exceptions. Every now and then we have certain visitors in place, but not today. Today we'll have two PMs going through the demos. Before we go there, just calling it out that on summertime in July and August, this call will be on a break. We will keep on running the Thursday call, which is happening 7 a.m. on every single Thursday, but not the Tuesday call. We'll share more details on that summer break as we get closer on summer. Good. So today we'll go through the latest updates on the Microsoft 365 Power Platform site in general. So what are the latest in here? We're going to share some recapping of the material, which you've probably seen already, but that's okay. It's also that we have new people in this course every single week. So we want to make sure that those people are up to date on all of the different assets which are available. Now, on the demo section, we'll start with Nate Tennant. He's going to talk about enabling lightweight approvals in any SharePoint list for easy request tracking. This is really cool new feature and super valuable for many cases, and it integrates nicely on Power Platform side and all of that. So really cool stuff. And then I'm going to showcase the Viva Connection Card Designer V2. So that is a new capability and new UX for the card designer, which is now available to take advantage. Now, before we go to the actual demos and especially Nate's star of today, we do have a lot of assets to get started within the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform area. So first of all, we have our YouTube channel at AKMS Community Videos. From there, you can always find the latest community call recordings, individual demo videos, and all of that. We publish roughly 10 videos within a week over that channel. So a lot of content which you want to definitely get used to. So subscribe so you will know that you are available. Now, we also have our LinkedIn group and a page for discussions and sharing updates within the LinkedIn. And LinkedIn usage is growing clearly rapidly. It is much more popular than Twitter. A lot of open source assets, but as it might be a bit difficult to find the relevant sample for you, we have these sample galleries, and those are the easiest way to find the relevant sample for you. So when you're looking for, let's say, adaptive card design, which is something what we're going to do today, go to the adaptive to the sample galleries and try to find it. There's a lot of interesting assets available for you to take advantage. All of the URLs at AKMS Community Home. We need to update that UX because we have updated the website. Woohoo! Beautiful design by Stefan Bauer, N8D is Stefan's company name, and Hugo Bernier made this realization to also happen. So AKMS Community Home is the URL. A lot of cool information available. So that is the one URL where you can find all of the details, what's happening, all of the latest blog posts, all of the latest calls. We have upcoming events and all of that listed there as well. So you always know, for example, what is the situation for this week on what's happening within the community areas. That should help you to understand on when to schedule and what meetings. Cool. Now, as said, we do have a lot of community calls available for you to take advantage. This is the Tuesday one, Microsoft 365 Power Platform with Microsoft speakers happening every single Tuesday, 8 a.m. Pacific time, except July, August, when we will be on break. On top of that, Power Platform monthly call, Office Admins call, and then our 7 a.m. Thursday series happening, which is Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community, or Viva Connections and SharePoint bi-weekly community call. So either one of those every single Thursday, 7 a.m. Pacific time. And for those calls, especially and Power Platform community call, monthly call, we do welcome community presenters because we learn from others. Super important piece of the community participation. So community, AKM's community calls, you'll find all of the recurrent invites. You can download them, put it in your calendar, all of that stuff. And all of the agendas are always published in the meetup service where we have 1,600 people already signed up to get the invites to their inboxes. So they will know when the relevant meetings are happening and what's in the agenda. As said, for a lot of these calls, we do welcome community presenters. So please sign up at the AKMS Community Request Demo. So word of a warning there, though. our queue is quite long. So there's a lot of demand right now for doing these demos because clearly people love to see those community demos and people love to present. So right now we have I think 1.5 months, 2 months long queue already. So we're getting pretty booked on the Thursday call. But it's kind of a positive problem for sure as well. But definitely if you're looking into kind of wondering that, okay, so I have some free time on summertime, it would be nice to have a cool demo and I'll prep something for July. Sign up and we'll get you scheduled in July, whatever is the suitable schedule for you. So we will contact you and get you scheduled based on your availability. Now, related on getting started in Microsoft Cloud or Microsoft 365 Power Platform, we do have our developer programs. It is still on pause. I'm going to talk about alternative option in the following slide. A lot of training material in the learn.microsoft.com. I haven't updated those numbers for a while, but that's a lot of modules to understand how things are actually working. Now, related on the developer tenants and developer program, that is unfortunately in pause. And that means that you cannot subscribe there and you will not get a free tenant. And the reason why that is happening is that people use that program and those tenants in a wrong way. So when you give stuff for free, then there's always the bad people and bad apples showing up and then starting to use those things in a wrong way. So they had to, unfortunately, at least pause the program. Now, if you're like, well, I'm a developer, I need to build stuff for Microsoft 365, you need to get me unplugged. Absolutely. The easiest way to do this is to actually go to AKMS M365 subscriptions and sign up for the $6 per month single tenant, single account tenants. And that is $6 per month, which is super small cost, but as it is a normal tenant, it will never be taken from you, which is a great option as well. So it doesn't matter are you going to use that, as long as you pay the $6 per month, it's your tenant. And right now, I think we have already updated some of these rules, so you can actually get the Copilot option also to the $6 per month tenant if you pay the extra for Copilot. So you don't have to have an extra services behind of things. So really great option for you to take advantage. And again, we do understand that it's not free. The problem is that whenever you provide something free as this beneficial for free, then people start using that in a wrong way. Now, the developer program might come back. But if it comes back, and when it comes back, I'm not sure on all of the details, it will have a cost impact on it. It will have some sort of a way of identifying the user who's paying for it. Again, $6 per month using this channel, not a massive cost for you, for sure. If you are a developer working for customers and all of that, most likely company will pay for you that, but good to be aware of this option for sure. And of course, if you have a Visual Studio subscription, you will get a free tenant through that channel as well. So that is an alternative. Now, on top of all of this stuff, we have Microsoft 365 Power Platforms shows available, PMP Weekly. We have Amy Diamond was on that show, went live earlier today. We have the bi-weekly Mondays at Microsoft happening with Caruana and Heather, and then the developer podcast for Microsoft 365 is coming back after Microsoft Build. So they are doing recordings within a few weeks and then start coming back with that show. We talked about the samples a bit already. We have more than 1,950 samples available from Microsoft and community, and we really want to have a one centralized location rather than competing portals, competing repos, and trying to make it difficult for people to find a relevant sample. Go AKMS community samples. You'll find all of the samples from our cloud advocates, from our MVPs, from other community members, from a easy search query UI, so you will find a relevant sample for you. Now, when you find the sample, you might be wondering on, oh, this sample is in GitHub. Yes, they are. They are intentional in GitHub. And if you're not familiar with GitHub, you might need some help. Or if you're looking into contributing in general, you might need some help. But we got you covered. Sharing is caring is back, right, David?
It's back. Yes, it's back. Woo. All right. Yes. Thank you, Vesa.
Back again.
Guess who's back? Yep. Hello, friend. All right, everybody. This is back. And what it is, if you're not familiar, it is Sharing is Caring. It is a program that provides hands-on guidance, right? What does that mean? It means that we're going to join live Teams calls, and they are safe space. We don't record them. We're going to work together through things like, what is this hub of Gits that's Vesa is speaking of, right? We are going to walk you through doing an actual pull request, contributing to a real live repo, and we're going to do it together. So you can ask any and all questions that you would like and absolutely feel confident leaving from there so that you can feel like, hey, I can contribute. There are less barriers now for me to be able to contribute to the community. It is absolutely free. We've got a sample contributor session set up for May 20th. It is the day before build. So if we could get somebody named Bob to join, just so we could have like Bob the Builder in our session, right? Anyways, it'll be awesome. So join, go to Sharing is Caring, aka.ms/sharing is caring, get signed up. We're going to be doing more regularly scheduled programs here, so definitely we appreciate your patience and look forward to working with each and every one of you. And once you do contribute, we got swag. It's digital swag, but it's swag. The community recognition program is still alive and well, and we are awarding these badges out. Some have been a little slow on the manual ones, so be patient with us on those speaker ones, but we've been getting a lot of the thematic ones, and we've got a multiverse contributor one coming up, which is a lot of fun. That means that when you contribute across the different programs, across the different repos, we will track that contribution, and as you contribute across the different projects, you will get an additional special badge. And we're going to be doing more themes like that. Vesa and I were talking over the weekend about next year having a May the 4th be with you badge. How cool would that be, right? So we're looking to do some things there that's going to be fun, and you could also add them to your LinkedIn profile. They are official and accredited, powered by Credly. We cover the cost. Absolutely awesome, but we do need you to opt in, aka.ms/community/recognition. Vesa, back to you in the Finland studios.
Excellent. Thank you, LA, on that one. You might have some Bob the Builder joining on your Sharing is Caring sessions from Finland. So just saying, you never know.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome. Anyway, let's move forward in here. First of all, a quick recap on upcoming events. We have the Orlando was last week, so we actually got that one slide away from here. European Collaboration Summit coming next week from Wiesbaden. Wiesbaden is in Frankfurt. I'm not sure if it's fully now sold out. I was hearing rumors that it might be sold out. So if you're still in the fence, you probably want to go and double check the situation. But it is hitting the 3,000 attendees, on-site attendees for this conference. And we do have a really, really cool lineup coming up next week as well. On top of this, if you are on the other side of the pond and other side of the Atlantic, we have Seattle, DC, and Dallas TechCon 365 conferences coming up as well. This was called EduCon previously. They changed the name, I think, in the start of this maybe 6 months ago already. But have a look on TechCon 365 for more details on that. Seattle is coming actually pretty soon. June is right about here. We're hitting summertime on the Northern Hemisphere. And then on September 18th, 2024, we have the Las Vegas Power Platform Conference coming up on there, and looking forward on that one as well, and meeting a lot of community members there. Now, on top of that, a lot of community events. All are listed at communitydays.org website. So this is intended to be the website where everybody can go and find out all of the different events happening all around across the world. And some of these are remote. Some of these are remote. That's a weird way of saying. Some of these are remote. In person, some of these are hybrid. That's the right way of saying that. And some of them might have a cost, some of them might be free, depending on the actual organizers, how they choose to execute the actual event. Now, check out all of the different events which are available, and please join up and meet up with people across the world to catch up on what's happening and get to know other people. Networking, always a good thing within these areas. There's also the Copilot Global Copilot Summit ongoing. We are announcing all the time new locations and new dates on this one, which is really, really cool. So more and more meetups around the Copilot Summit, Copilot Accessibility across the world. Have a look on AKMS Global Copilot Summit for more details. Now, on the news section, a lot of news. Well, not that many news. I think we're slowing a bit down before we're hitting the build, but some news from last week related on the Orlando announcements, and then we're waiting for the build coming up pretty soon. There's going to be a lot of announcements from Microsoft Build within a few weeks as well. But David has already pasted in the links of all of the news in the chat. I'm not going to call this out. Maybe one thing to call out, actually, their general availability of customer-managed keys for both Power Apps and Power Automate, and that's a really, really important thing for Power Platform sites to have additional level of a security on that site, which is great. And also, I want to call out the Microsoft SharePoint Roadmap Update, May 2024. That is a follow-up on something what we did already on ESBC for the SharePoint Viva Connection and Viva areas back in November. And this is kind of a catch-up on what has been released since and what are the upcoming features across the stack as well. A lot of cool news, a lot of announcements across the board. Now, before we go to the demos, we do have a quick recap on the Teams platform updates. So announcements on this side.
Thank you, Vesa. Hi, everyone. So while we keep sharing the latest on our platform features, we see a need of having a platform where we can get direct feedback from you and basically on the features, docs, and samples. So we are leveraging the discussions feature in GitHub where you can discover our latest feature announcements. Not only will you stay updated on our newest editions, but you can also share your thoughts directly with us. We are committed to making this a two-way conversation where your feedback matters. So let's discuss and improve together. I've shared the link in the chat as well. Looking forward to this engagement. Thank you. Over to you, Vesa.
Excellent. Thank you, Surpi. On that one, directly from India. So we're moving across the world. This is always so brilliant to have so many people from different areas to join on these calls, also as a host. Now, before we go to the actual demos of today, we have two demos, so we are right on schedule. We do have Together mode coming up. So let me actually set up Together modes here. I should have actually set this one up a bit faster and earlier. Hopefully, we will get everything working properly. Let me move in here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Crossing fingers. Come on, teams, you can do it. Da, 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 da. Let's wait a few minutes, not few minutes, few seconds. You can enable the camera. Oh, there we go. Excellent. And we are pixel perfect. This is really, really good. So we do have 50 seats in the room. Let's wait for the 50 seats happening. No idea what's the middle center logo there. And that's scary. That is even scary. I can see a lot of familiar faces again on the room. Let's wait a few more minutes, few more seconds before we do the recording and start waving hands. I can see Rachel on the middle. Nice hat, by the way. Really, really cool. Don in the background already waving. Cannot stand still. That's how Don is. Let's wait a few more minutes before we start recording. I think we're starting to hit the 50 limit pretty soon. I will do the recording and let's do some hand waving. 3, 2, 1. Waving hands, everybody! I'm waving hands even though I'm not actually in the call or in the room. This is really, really cool. Thanks, everybody. We'll grab a GIF animation out of that and share that within the social channels. Good to see people. Always good to see real people, not just slides and pictures and all of that stuff. And hopefully next week, some of you will be in ECS. That would be really, really awesome to catch up as well. Now, as said, we're going to start today with Nate Tennant, and then we're going to move to demo by me, actually, for a while. But Nate should be in the call, hopefully, and ready to go with his demo.
Yep. Hey, Vesa, I'm here. You can hear me all right?
Cool. Yep, audio is good.
Awesome. I will go ahead and share.
You are clearly at the office as well.
Early here in Redmond, but let me go ahead and share. Got just a few slides before I jump into the demo.
Cool. I can see the screen. All good. Let's go to the presentation mode and take it away.
Awesome. And let me know if anything pops up in the chat, Vesa. But real quick high-level overview from the SharePoint side. So quick intro, my name is Nate Tennant. I own what we call our business apps and automation within SharePoint, which of course partners with the folks over in Power Platform and Teams. Just a quick lay of the land. So when we think about automation in SharePoint, we start with kind of the native capabilities of both SharePoint and lists. These are what most users are doing, going in, adding files, list items, metadata, maybe creating some sites and pages. Kind of core functionality. And the area we're focused on, or I focus on, is kind of the no code into low code experience. And so when we start with no code, we think of things like our rules and approvals, which is what I'll demo shortly here today. Those are kind of the next step on top of those native capabilities, being able to do some simple customizations, get alerts, build workflows, start to tailor to your business processes. But we also want that escape valve or graduation out into Power Platform. I'm sure a lot of the folks on this call are very familiar and well-versed in going out and building connectors into SharePoint content, whether it's files or lists, and then using those in custom Power Apps, Power BI, or even Copilot Studio. So focusing in on approvals, you can use these today in 2 list templates. So if you go to any SharePoint site, you go create a list, you'll see there's actually 2 templates of about 13, 14 that we offer that have this with approvals capability. And same exact column structure as the kind of non-approvals versions for travel requests and content scheduler. But when you enable those lists, you get this special approval request pill column. And what that does is it allows you to go in and kind of integrate with Teams in a way to do a very, very simple but also auditable approval request that gets tracked and managed within the context of that item. So the next evolution of approvals, let me switch over to my browser here, is that we are bringing approvals to any list. And I'll say list specifically, not yet libraries. That's a little bit in a later phase. But say I have my devices and hardware requests list here that I go in and I have it set up in a way where I capture my photo, some information about the device that needs to be purchased. And in the past, maybe I would have emailed over a link and said, hey, Nate needs a new device. Can you please approve and let me know when I'm good to go ahead and make my order. With our new approvals in any list feature, in the automate dropdown, we'll have a new configure approvals option. Gives you a simple toggle here that gives you some information about what comes with approvals, which is really that special pill column that I mentioned that you can test out and try in those two templates. And important to note, you can disable this at any time, but I'll show the Teams experience, which you might be familiar with as well. But we have a tight integration with Teams, but we also know that things could be actioned for those users that like the Teams experience or right in SharePoint. So let's go ahead and apply. That'll take just a second. Now you can see that special pill column I talked about. Alternatively, I could click here and get this nice request approval option if I prefer that route. But if I go ahead and let's say I need to get my 4K monitor approved, I can go ahead and put my title. It defaults to the item. Just for simplicity of the demo here, I'm just going to send to myself. You could also submit multiple approvers and then go ahead and choose whether you need all of the approvers to kind of complete the action sequentially, or if just one of 5 approvers is fine. We'll go ahead and say, please approve, and go ahead and submit. And that will take just a second. You'll get this little notification that I'm going in and creating the approval request. And for those familiar on the Power Automate side, same underlying approval service that you could go ahead and build if you were building a Power Automate flow. But from an end user standpoint, you don't have to have any knowledge or kind of experience going ahead and building those. So let's go to my chat here. Sorry, get my bar out of the way. Okay. So you can see I got the notification on the team side that Nate has sent me an approval. I could go ahead and just action this right within Teams. Before I do that, let me just switch back to SharePoint really quickly. You could see I can also, before I hit approve in Teams, I can also do the same exact kind of approve, reject, cancel here with some comments. So if I don't want to go into the Teams experience at all, I don't have to. I'll still get that notification. And one important piece that comes with a lot of approval flows, if I were to actually go in and let's say start to edit this title with, sorry, let me do another field here. Say I were to go in and say I want to change that to reserved. That will actually say, hey, you already have an in-flight approval for this request. If you're making a change, that's a kind of a core underlying data change. That will actually cancel what's in flight. So I don't want to do that. So let's go ahead and go back, exit out of here, and get back to my Teams. Don't want to give control. Just move this guy out of the way. There we go. Okay, so back to Teams. I'm going to say this item is approved. Go ahead. See that Teams is completing the request. And I get a nice list here of all my approvals that I've done and the source that they come from SharePoint. So going back to our list, it does take just a second to flow through. So I'm going to go ahead and just click the pill to kind of force a sync between Teams and SharePoint. You can see that the item has now been approved. So super lightweight for anyone familiar with kind of the old SharePoint workflows. There was a similar approval workflow there, also request sign off. But this is something we're excited to bring to any list experience. And this is in about 25% of our targeted release right now. So we expect to be starting to go across global tenants here in about the next month or so. Vesa, I will pause there and I can either take any questions or kind of conclude the demo.
Let me unmute myself. So there is no specific questions which I can see on the chat. This is good. A lot of positive feedback. Will this be available in GCC? That's a good question.
Yes, the GCC timelines are a little bit longer. The kind of underlying approval service is going through a bunch of the FedRAMP and GCC readiness right now. But yes, this will come to GCC. I don't have a timeline, but sometime following, not too long following our prod rollout.
Yeah, and those who do not know, GCC means governmental cloud. So US governmental clouds. We do have a lot of international people joining, so they might not be familiar with that. Are you able to include attachments in the approval process? That's a good question from Jody.
If there was an attachment in the list item itself, it would absolutely be in the approval, but not on, if you mean like attach something to the approval as I filled out this dialogue. Yeah, nothing here, but it would come with the list item.
Cool.
And we know this scenario is super powerful for documents, things like contracts, invoices. So looking forward to kind of expanding into the document library side of the house as well. And just before I, simple turn off. Really what we're doing when you turn it off is just hiding the view. Like I said, things still kind of live in Teams as a source of truth. So we don't want to interrupt anything that was there, but the column disappears when I go ahead and disable. So
cool.
Yeah.
Now, a few more questions because we do have time. We only have one more demo and it's going to be me, so I can adjust myself based on the time what we have. Now, what elements in this entire process are customizable if needed? Are there any things what we can customize on that?
Yeah, right now there is no customization on kind of this, what we call lightweight approvals. What we're thinking is in the future being able to say per list, have some approval settings. So in the form of, if you're in this device request list, the approval can only go to Vesa, or the approval has to go to Nate and then Vesa. And so we'll add some more extensibility, but for right now, if you need a custom approval workflow, that would still need to be a flow that you build and configure with the right kind of wait until or loop function to go in and complete what you need.
Yeah, makes sense. Now, Sami has a question on, can this be turned on a legacy lists, or does it only work in the classic or the new lists? There are still people who are using legacy to whatever reasons. So.
I believe it is only in modern lists. You know what? I'll have to follow up on that one. I don't know what the experience is if you kind of revert to classic, and the column data should still be there, but I don't think you get the nice kind of pill experience.
Yep. Yeah. Angela is asking roadmap ID for this one. That's something what we can follow up hopefully afterwards on the chat. When is it going to be available in public? Good question from Gary. Gary.
If you're in targeted release, which I'm sure many of you are, you should see it in the next couple of weeks. And then the kind of prod rollout will be starting in June timeframe. So I expect, by midsummer, pretty much everyone has this in their tenant.
Yeah, cool. And a few more. That's actually really good from Kavita, I think is the front name of Yoshi. All the approvals is sequential or parallel. So which way is it sending the approvals to multiple people at the same time, or is it one by one? That's what the question is.
It is sending it all at one time, but then you get the choice of, does everyone need to complete it, or is just one fine? But yeah, sorry, it is not.
Parallel.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. I think I said sequential. Sorry about that.
Yep, no worries. Good to get it clarified, because that's what, if it's sent for everybody at the same time, then it's definitely parallel. Wow, that's a hard word to say for a Finn. So for whatever reason, my tongue is going to twist then. So Cool. And maybe one final thing, and then we can follow up on the other questions. On there, possible to print the approval screen. Are there any plans on doing extensibility on extra branding or adjustments on the print screen?
Not
On the
yet.
approval screen. Yep.
Nope, but that's a scenario I'm sure kind of similar with e-sign and other things people will want to do. So we haven't offered that yet, but I see a bunch of questions here from Andy, so I'll go ahead and take a look at those too.
Excellent. Thank you, Nate, on that one. Let's then move on back to my slides. So I will do some demos from my side, which is completely fine as well. So the second demo of today is around introduction to new Viva Connection Card Designer V2 experience. So not sure if you are familiar. Introduction, we did an introduction of Viva Connection Card Designer, I think in December, and then we rolled out the initial experience on that one, which is a bit limited and clunky and all of that. And we've been working now on a new Viva Connection Card Designer, which is Viva Card Designer V2. So there are improvements in the UX features to make things work. Now, to give you a bit about the context, let's just recap quickly on the Viva Connection. Again, the Viva Connection is really the home for daily employee experiences across all of the three screens. So mobile, tablet, and a desktop. And doesn't matter which one you're using, you will always see the same application, same tooling, all of that in place. A key point here is that we really want to have one location where people can go to access the most commonly used tools, the most commonly used information for that particular role. And that's really how we're approaching the Viva Connection. Now, within Orlando last week, we did have a great slide done by Ed Everett on what is the difference between a top intranet and Viva Connection. And this actually probably explains the difference in positioning in a bit more detail. They're not competitors. They're intended to be used at the same time. If you think about the intranet, we're heading to this pixel perfect storytelling. And what it means is that the intranets will look like the company. They're almost like a .com sites, the public brand. So they're really pushing that boundary on making the your company brand visible within the intranet landing page, of course, surfacing relevant information for end users and all of that. But it might not be as condensed, the information, so it's more designed first because it's all about the company brand. You can navigate the entire company, search the entire company, tailored news directly for you. Now, the Viva Connection is then a bit different approach. That is intended to be your personal application. So rather than just corporate communication, it's your commonly used applications and tooling. So really the personal news and community news, employee experiences centered apps. So basically, let's say requesting a vacation or time off, or what you need help, or you need to see your payslip details. The Viva Connection would be that location where you would go in any device what you have, and you would be able to access that directly through the Teams. And then there's a lot of additional opportunities within that side as well. And of course, it has a connection to the intranet, but it's not the pixel perfect brand first intranet. More about, again, you as a persona accessing relevant information for you. So they are really intended to be looked and used together for the best possible experience for both sides. So kind of balancing the corporate communications together with the employee experiences and the personal point of view to your brand, to your personal access and personal information, what's relevant for you. Cool. Now, common use cases on the Viva Connection. Since I have a few times, I can actually do a bit of this. So, of course, these are really intended to be the employee tools and applications. So your base stop and benefits, what's the relevant information. Say IT support, ticketing, really, really typical thing. Time of request, travel expenses. You quickly go to that one UI rather than remembering what was the system where I do time of requests or T&E or travel or weather or stock vesting or whatever. I will know that every single relevant application within my company can be found from Viva Connection. Click from one location, you will land on all of the relevant applications for you. Frontline workers scenarios, quite a lot of people are not working in front of the desktops, and that's why the tablet and mobile experiences are definitely there available. And of course, I tend to actually use Viva Connection quite often when I'm sitting on my living room couch, which is not necessarily a good thing. I'm not saying that you should be watching a Viva Connection when you're off, not working, but that's just how I am. Maybe I'm broken by Microsoft. Who knows? Don't quote me on that one, by the way. But anyway, you can access the information in any device super easily, and that's available for you. And of course, career growth, learning development, all of that such news announcements still available on that side as well, making it easy to access the relevant information. Thank you, David, on that key animation in the chat. For those who have a functioning chat in this call. The call is having a bit of a challenges today. Now, Viva Connection is a platform as well. So you're able to build ACs. ACs are those individual cards. There's multiple ways of doing those ACs. You can do them using SharePoint framework, or you can implement bot-powered ACs. And bot-powered ACs is really for the teams, ISVs who have already invested in Teams. To default, the best experience for development is really SharePoint framework. So you have that full flexibility on rendering things, and we provide more flexibility there in the future. Now, we are also, we want to provide also the card dashboard designers or operators the option to implement simple cards. And what we mean with that one is that we want to have that option of not requiring code for these cards as well. You can have a low code, technically no code option to hit a Graph API endpoint and surfacing relevant information for the user. So you can actually build these things directly without the code for the Viva Connection. And that's basically our card designer capability. So it's really targeted for citizen developers and power users. It's powered by the SharePoint data behind the scenes, powered by the Microsoft Graph. Both of those data endpoints are available to hit from an API perspective to collecting information and surfacing that information. Supports full admin governance, so you can admins can control what are those applications which are available. Enhanced authoring experience is the thing what we're going to talk about today, and foundation for future integration. So we're looking into having additional integration options within the card designer in future. There's a lot of exciting stuff in the roadmap related on no-code options within the Viva Connection as well. Not forgetting about the pro developer story at all, but it's good to empower no-code scenarios as well. Now, this is the set of guidance what we used to have, which is still a bit still valid. So we do have UX guidance available for you to take advantage on how to design those adaptive card. We do have the customized options at the adaptive card designer, at the adaptive cards.io designer, and then you are able to use the card designer to actually power dynamic capabilities even directly within the Viva Connection. Now, the try it section, however, has been changed, and this is now starting to roll out. It was gradually already rolling out last week. We found a small bug. It was rolled back, but it starts again rolling out within a week or two. So you will have the more polished card designer capability available within May. Latest on June, but it is starting to roll out, and it's much more polished experience for you to take advantage. We're going to have a look on this one in a live demo in a second. We're going to build exactly what we can see here because this is from my demo test directly. But I'm going to walk through the bits and pieces and options as we go through that together in a second. But really the power here is that we have that advanced API support in the card designer like we had in the previously. This is a capability which the Tennant administrator has to enable because it's an API powered capability, but it actually provides a lot of power for the card designers or the operators who are building the dashboard. So you can really easily build capabilities like my upcoming meetings, my latest emails, or much more complex scenarios as well. So hitting an API endpoint and surfacing relevant information depending on what is the use case, whatever you have. Now, only administrator-approved Microsoft Graph APIs are available to be used. So there is an admin level approval on the API level as well. So you can control which of those APIs are available. And like I said, the V2 experience is rolling out in May, June 2024 worldwide. Now, let's actually have a live demo on that one. So we can walk through the different options and capabilities and also assets which are available for you to take advantage. Let me actually find the right browser. It is this browser. We're going to use a how would I put it, internal test tenant. So the capability is already available. And again, this capability is not yet lighted up for you. And we're going to use this test E3. That is a really good name for the tenant, test E3. But it's super clear that it's a test tenant. Again, it starts rolling out relatively soon for you to take advantage. So this is kind of an early teaser on what's coming. It is a blank page right now. I'm going to put page in edit mode. I'm going to start by selecting my card designer in here. It's a bit boring demo because we only kind of focus now on the card designer capabilities. I don't have a showcasing of beautiful looking designs, but of course with Viva Connection in general, you can really build cool looking industry experiences. So this is something what we showed, for example, last week in the Orlando. That's a bit simplified one. Let me go a bit more complicated one, for example, for airlines or for retail. We're looking into having a sample guidance and assets for you to take advantage of building really kind of a dynamic dashboard. That's more in the future community calls, not on this one. But this is more on showcasing you how the dashboard could look like, for example, in an airline case. And you can imagine that the person walks directly in their plane and then knows more details about the people who are sitting in which chair and all of that stuff within their mobile device, not necessarily using desktop, because I wouldn't be carrying my desktop with me as if I'm a steward in a plane. Now, just a quick teaser. We're going to go a bit more detailed on the industry templates in another time, but that's just an excuse so I can actually show you a super simplified dashboard design, and we kind of focus now on the Card Designer V2. Thank you, Steve, on the comment on the chat. Yes, it's test, so it's a double the best of the normal test environment. It's the test of the test. So anyway, so in here, I moved in the card to a card designer. So one thing to notice, to be able to use the advanced capabilities, we will need to set this particular setting in the tenant level to true. And this can be set using the SPO PowerShell or BMP PowerShell. Both of them obviously have that option available to be set. It's basically then enabling the API-powered capabilities within a tenant. Nothing has changed from there if you're familiar with the V1 experience of this one, but that's not really the new thing. The new thing being actually the designer, which is much more nicer to work on, and we can see the live design in here. So I could do something like, let me go and select a custom image. Let's change the custom image. Let's do a stock image, and let's search for meetings. I guess we'll have some meetings, meeting stuff here. What would be a nice meeting picture? That's a nice meeting picture. That's a nice meeting picture. Let's take that one. Oh, that went to the small one. No, that wasn't my intention. I can actually do, let's take a calendar on that one. There we go. And then when do I, there's the custom image selection. That's what I was trying to do with the image selections. Let me go in here. Let me go calendar. And then we're going to choose a nice looking calendar image from the ones which are available. There we go. Now it looks so much nicer already. So I have the live preview all the time as I'm writing this, how it will look like. So I can say my meetings, and then I can say, so my meetings as the action. And then we can choose what's going to happen when we click the card. Are we going to show what kind of layout do we want to use, an image, or do we want to use buttons? Do we want to use descriptions? So there's multiple layers available from where we can adjust that based on our business requirements. The image is actually pretty okay. Now, then I can choose what happens when I click the card. So when I click the card, what's going to happen? I'm going to choose now show a quick view, which is now the interesting piece. And that is basically then showing the information where we're going to hit in the API. So show quick view. And scrolling down, we can target the card to be available in a specific group of people. We're not going to do that. All good. I'm going to click next. And then we are in that nice UI designer, a card designer, where we can start planning on what we will actually make this look like. Hello world, all the people in the call, and it's actually having that live preview there in place. Now, I will cheat, and I do apologize on that one, but I will show you. Not there. I will put that one down. That wasn't my intention. Let's put that one over there. So I will cheat, but I will show you where you can get my demo assets, because those are available for you as well. So static content right now, or I could say dynamic content. So I can actually select, is the content when I'm clicking the card or in the quick view, is it actually rendering in a static format, or is it dynamic content? I want to have it dynamic because we want to hit an API endpoint, and then I want that to render the UX based on the information which is relevant for the particular user. So it's not static. Nobody needs to update that. It's rendering based on the user information. Now, really cool here is also that we have two different endpoints. We do have Microsoft Graph API endpoints available and SharePoint APIs. So depending on a use case, you could hit a SharePoint API. Microsoft Graph is probably the best documented API in the world. I guess there's probably some which are better, but still it's really well documented, and you can use the Graph Explorer to figure out what are the endpoints which you can hit and the use cases. A lot of inspiration can be got from there. So we're going to use Graph API as a permission, and then we can set which endpoint to actually do things. Now, before I do that, let me actually go in here and let me show you where we are. Let me open up Visual Studio Code. And let me show you where we are in here. So in the GitHub, in the SB Dev Docs repo, we have an asset folder and we have an ACE folder. And from this folder, I will show you this in practice, so you're not wondering, oh, wait, where was that? Let me go SB Dev Docs. That is our documentation location. And in here right now, at least, we haven't actually put them anywhere else. We have an asset folder. And then we have ACE folder, ACE meaning the adaptive card extension. And we are hosting two different images here and two different JSON files as an example, rendering UXs, which we can use to demonstrate the power of the adaptive, the card designer. So now in my case, I'm going to go to Visual Studio Code. I'm going to take the events quick view JSON. I'm going to copy that one. It's 1.5 version of the adaptive card. Somebody was asking that in the chat. And thank you, Alex, for answering that. Then I lost again my screen. The screen is somewhere. It's in here. Here we go. And I will paste in the template JSON, and it will render me the high-level view on how it will look like. And we can actually see that we have a repeater here on that section. Let's see if I can actually find it in here easily, or I could actually take this one, and I could absolutely go also to the adaptive card designer. I can select here Viva Connection, and I can paste in my design in here, so I can actually have a look on how it would look like in a designer. So then I have a much nicer space of looking into how to render things. I can adjust the layout, I can adjust things, and there we can see there's items. So that's kind of hinting you on what we're going to do there. And what we're going to do basically is list all of the calendar invites. If the calendar invite has Teams information in it, it will have the Teams icon to join directly to the Teams meeting from there. And if it doesn't, it will still have the calendar icon to open up the calendar insights from the Outlook. So it will have a deep linking support to those calendars. And we can at least absolutely adjust the settings if needed. We're not going to do that today, but that gives you the option of how to do that. Now, coming back in here, we're looking into dynamic content. We wanted to hit the Graph API to get information from the particular user. I'm going to again cheat and go and copy paste the URL, the API endpoint. I think I have it actually in here. I had a URL, and I'm going to copy that one. I'm going to paste in that one in here. And as I move away from that section or fill in the entries, it will execute the API. And then we will have an automatic validation. Was the API which I provided valid or was it not valid? Now, if we haven't provided permissions for this API endpoint, it will basically say, permissions are not granted. You cannot hit this API. If it has the permissions granted, like in our case, then it will hit the endpoint and it will get results which are in here. And then that will be rendered on the left side on the screen in here. Now, what it's actually pretty cool, I haven't tested this, but this should work. So let me go in here, copy the whole data structure, go to adaptive card in here. Oh, that one. There, that's where we had the designer, and paste in the data point. And we should get the UX to render if we go to preview. Where is our preview mode? There's preview mode. Clicking that one, and I can actually see how it will look like for that particular data. So now what we see here is the adaptive card designer, the layout, and the data. And then I can start modifying things in this designer based on my business requirements. That's actually pretty cool. So that works nice. Cool. Getting back in here again, I can also see the layout and design and a preview. Of course, here I can make sure that everything is working. Before we click, well, actually, let's click save, and then we can see that in practice. Clicking save, closing. Let's do preview. There is our awesome card. Yeah, got it. Awesome card. When I click that one, it will actually show me all of my upcoming meetings. Apparently, David, we do have a lunch coming up on tomorrow. I need to start flying over pretty soon. But all of the meetings from my calendar, and these are coming directly from my calendar, so I can actually then click and do a direct clicking. That's actually interesting. That's definitely into my design. I did a mistake there. The deep linking isn't working properly here, but these are all coming from the calendar invites, which I have in my personal calendar. So now you can imagine that for all of the end users, they can actually always click the meetings and they will see the upcoming meetings, and they can also join potentially those meetings or deep link to the meeting details directly from Viva Connection. So you can again imagine that we surface relevant information to a single view, and we could click of a thumb, because in the mobile, you can then easily access all of the information which is available, which is pretty cool. Yes, I'll pay for the lunch, David. Whenever I will be around in LA, that I think it was 2014 when I've been last time in LAX. It's been a while. Maybe I should actually come over. Now, a few things to notice here. We talked about the APIs, which is working here. The reason, again, why this API endpoint is working is that particular API has been granted to be used and hit by the APIs and the SharePoint framework. Now, this is might be a bit confusing, but let me try to explain this. So, as an admin, you will need to grant APIs which are available for SharePoint framework, and the same permissions will be then granted or followed by the card designer. Now, we are definitely looking into having feedback around this one. So should we have another application? Should we do something else? Right now, those permissions which have been granted for SharePoint Framework solutions are the ones which can also hit directly within the card designer. Now, these are, let's see, how do we actually get to these? I'm in a SharePoint Admin Center, and I'm in a preview environment. So the preview environment has interesting features, so don't worry about that one. So I'm in the admin center, and now if I click advanced and I can see API access, then I can actually see those APIs which have been granted, or the APIs which are pending to be granted. Apparently somebody has been installing Lightning tools, Lightning Conductor in here to see all of the permissions which are granted. Now, technically, behind the scenes, what happens, let me actually move that sharing screen away from a bit. These permissions which are granted in the Entra ID. So if I go to my admin, Microsoft.com, and then if I go to Microsoft Entra, and then in the Microsoft Entra, and we can actually find that individual application. This is really for the security details, how this actually works, app registrations, and now if I go, we already flashed there. If I go to all application, we can actually see the SharePoint Online Client Extensibility Web Application Principle, super descriptive name. And this is the one which the SharePoint framework is actually using. So this, whenever we are granting anything in a SharePoint admin API center in here, behind the scenes, it is actually granting those permissions. There we go, to this particular application. So now if we go to API permissions, we can actually see that we have the calendar suite information available. So just walking through the different dependencies and all of that around the permission thing. So of course, granting permission, deciding which permissions will be available and granting those permissions is a more administrative operation, not a end user or a dashboard operator capability. So there has to be that individual discussion within the company, what are the permissions which we grant, and then how does that will work. Now, a few things to notice here. These are really scary looking things. For example, here it says files read all for permission. However, it says delegated, and super critical thing to understand. When we use delegated, it doesn't not mean that I have permissions within my card designer to access all of the files. No. It's basically my permissions grant. It's delegated permissions, the permissions for this application and the permissions which I have. So I cannot access any files or read any other calendar information which I do not have permissions to, because again, it's delegated. Now, if it would not be delegated, if it would be granted as a full alternative options, then you can access the permissions using the app owner permissions. But really key point, understand delegation is critical to understand. If I'm granting calendar read or files read all, the delegated permission means that it's only those files which I have permissions, not all of the files within a tenant. Critical to remember. Cool. I guess we're starting to be pretty okay on covering all of the different features, capabilities. Just out of curiosity, if I do here emails, is it mails? I can't remember. Here we go. We can see that it's trying to hit the endpoints which are not available, and it actually tells me what's available. How does it actually work? Mail is available. That's valid endpoint. I can do things. Now, how would you figure out what would be interesting things to do? You can absolutely go to the Graph Explorer or go to the Graph documentation, and in here you can have a look on all of the different API endpoints which we have available. Personal contacts, for example, my contacts would be a really great example. And if I run query, well, that one doesn't actually have the right permissions yet on the contacts. We need to grant them. Not going to spend too much time in here, but I can definitely use the Graph Explorer to have a look on the inspiration on all of the information which the user could get access to. And then we can need to figure out what are the permissions, for example, contacts read, which I need to grant to be able to access that information. I know that this particular user doesn't have any contacts. No point for me to consenting that endpoint because we are in a test environment. And then maybe a final thing also to call out, there's a lot of adaptive card design examples available in multiple different locations. So a really good example being this PMP adaptive card templates, beautiful looking card designers, card designs, which are available for you to take advantage. You'll just go to the samples and then have a look on, for example, security alert. And oh, that's an interesting thing. You can take that JSON design or you can open that JSON design directly in Designer. You can modify that based on your business requirements, and then you can take that directly and copy that to the dashboard, and voila, you've done a beautiful looking cards, beautiful looking designs without any code, which is pretty cool. Empowering everybody to do more, right? That's the slogan of Microsoft. Cool. I guess that sums up pretty much on what I was planning to do, unless I'm missing something, but I guess we should be good. So that's a quick recap on the API-powered experiences Viva Connection Card Designer version 2.0. Again, as mentioned, this capability is rolling out in May, latest June. Right now, it is currently not rolling out, but it starts to roll out pretty soon, which should help on getting that available across the world. Awesome. Thanks everybody for watching this one. Cool. Quick recap then on what's happening next week. So next Tuesday, we do have 3 different demos from 3 different awesome presenters from Microsoft side. Sam Betts is going to talking about building a Copilot feedback bot for collecting feedback from users. That's a really cool solution, which is open sourced in the GitHub under the PMP organization as well. Sam is one of Microsoft employees. Simran Ayavani is going to talking about Microsoft 365 Search Connector in Power Platform. Really powerful capability as well. And then David Warner, who's in the call as well, LA, is going to talk about Power Platform and 365 animation tips and tricks, and what are all of the awesome things what we can do with SVG to make our solutions look better and more polished. Looking forward on that one as well. I know that some of you might be actually in ECS next week. We'll see how many can join. But there's a lot of people who are not traveling in in-person conferences. So we definitely want to keep these community calls running in the future as well for everybody to get access on latest. One way of getting access on latest things or getting help from the other people in the community is using our Discord server. If you go AKMS Community Discord, you can access that information. It's a free server Discord server to access, and you can just start asking questions and engage other people within the community. Great way of get to know other people who are similar-minded people working on the similar problems as you are, or features, not only problems, but features and capabilities as you are. We also have our feedback form, and we are always looking for feedback related on this community course. Is the information good? Was the demos good today? If you think they were good, please give us feedback. This is super important for us to be able to continue this course in the future, So please, if you have a few minutes, fill in the form and get your feedback in. This community call will be available and published in the YouTube channel within 24 hours. So subscribe today so you will know when the community call demos and the recordings are available. We will always publish them out also to Twitter and in LinkedIn, so you're able to follow up on whenever a new community call recording is available. And the next call already mentioned is May 14th at 8 a.m. Pacific time. This week we also have the Thursday call, and next week we actually have the Power Platform monthly community call. So a lot of great demos queued up. In all of them, please use up our meetup capabilities, meetup features to be able to understand advance what will be the agenda details in those calls. But that's it for today. Thank you, Nate. Thank you, Vesa. That's me. Yes, you're talking to yourself. Yes, I am. Yes, you can be thankful for yourself as well. That went really well. Thank you. Yes, awesome. But thank you, Nate, especially for the great demo of the day. And thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you for lovely discussion again on the chat. We do apologize that some people had some issues on joining the call on the desktop version of the Teams. Seems to be some hiccups on the server side. We can't fix that, unfortunately. But still, let's hope that all of that will be sorted sooner or later and everything works smoothly throughout the summer in the Northern Hemisphere. But that's it for now. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of the week, and let's stay in touch. Bye-bye.